So I read it to you earlier. So if you answer these questions 1 through 5, they should give you the key points that you need to answer this question. Okay, so you can have a look at answering those first if you like. But what are the key points that are up there? So high tide being 3.8, low tide being 1.1. What else? High tide's at midnight. Yep. And other key information there.
The next high tide will be 12 hours later.
Exactly 12 hours later. Okay, so from all that information there, you should be able to answer 1 through 5. Okay. So how high is high tide? 3.8 meters. Low tide, 1.1 meters. What is the average water level? How do you find the average water level? Say again?
The highest one.
Yep, so the highest one minus the amplitude. How do you find the average of two things? Add them together, add, divide by 2. So add 3.8, 1.1, divide by 2. Yep. Okay, that's another way of doing it. What is the time between high tides? 12. What's the equation of the function? So, hold on, before you give it to me, sorry. The other thing I said is if you draw a sketch of it, it doesn't need to be a piece of art. Okay? But there is my rough high tide, low tide graph. Have that. If I was to write that on, I'm going to say 3.8 up there, 1.1, and there is 12. Okay? So from there we know my period is. Well, right. Let's go. What's my equation?
Y equals 1.35.
Sorry, someone's talking. I can't hear. Sorry, carry on.
Y equals 1.35 times cos 3 over 6 pi over 6 x.
Yeah.
Plus 2.45.
Okay. Plus 2.45. So the 2.45, we happy with that as a. That's the average. That's our baseline. The 1.35. How do we get that? Yeah, so that's the high tide minus the average. Okay, that's the amplitude. The peak to the baseline, that's my amplitude. Or it's the peak to the trough. Okay, whichever way you want to do it. Okay, whichever way it works in your brain. The only other thing there is this pi over 6. So how do we get this pi over 6? Because that's the tricky part.
So the period is 12 hours, so it's 2 pi over 12.
You may be right, pi over 6. Yeah, okay. Happy with that? That's our formula. Note we've written it pi x over 6. Okay, that's probably the easy way of writing that. Happy with that? And so all we've got to do now is get our calculator out, punch in 4 and 15. Make sure it's a ratings. Okay, so right, so I've covered up the questions there, but it was at 4 o'clock and 3 p.m. So I'm going to go 1.35 times the cosine of pi times 4 divided by 6 plus 2.45. 1.77, is that right?
Yeah.
Okay. If you didn't get that, you make sure your calculator is in radians and not in degrees. Okay, if you've written it down in degrees, you would have got 3.8. And 3.8 is the high tide, isn't it? So make sure you don't get that. Okay, so make sure it is in radians. How do you know it's in radians? How do you know this equation's in radians? Because it has a pi in it, yeah. Yep. Cool. So 1.77 4 o'clock, and 3 o'clock would just be. Yep. You can understand the fact that that is halfway between high tide and low tide, because it's a. Why?
Because low tide will be at 6 hours. High tide
How do that?
about 3 hours. High tide.
Because the cosine graph goes high tide, halfway in between high and low is baseline. Yep. So 2.45. So that will be 2.45, and that was 1.7. 1.7. Any questions on that stuff? No.